Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the professor, and this is the moment of truth.
Jason, let's talk about this, because what happened here? How is Karne Bass, a longtime community organizer, trailing against Caruso, a longtime Republican who donated generously to the Republican Party, including candidates who fought against abortion rights?
Right.
How is he winning? And I know Snoop endorsed him, and look, black men vote I know you're going to tell me black men vote overwhelmingly Democratic. And there are a lot of black men who endorse Karne Bass, from Don Cheadle to John Legend. Our friend Yvette Nicole Brown, of course, is a big supporter of hers. But I am baffled at some of the people who have endorsed Rick Caruso. What happened here? And this whole narrative that like black people are so loyal to the Democratic Party, the devil is a lie, okay? Black people are loyal to black people. And who is going to do something for black people? That's how black people vote. Roland, I want you to take a listen, because it's something very interesting. The police back Caruso, and they have been running ads and putting a lot of money into attacking Karne Bass.
Good Lord. This is like something out of a nightmare. I'm talking about the axis of idiots, the trifecta of suck. When I talk about zombie black media, I'm talking about these bootlicking Negroes whose platforms died a long time ago, platforms given to them by white corporations, and yet these dead platforms are still shuffling around anyway. This is what I'm talking about. You know when you're on Skid Row. You got Jackalope Johnson, Roly-Poly Martin having a three-way with Tiffany CrossEyes, and no matter how much you listen to these clowns, you never walk away from it feeling like you learned anything, because you didn't. And the propaganda's flying high. CrossEyes talking about how Karne Bass's opponent contributed to candidates who fought against abortion rights. Did it ever occur to CrossEyes that the only Negroes who are cheering for abortion are bootlicks like her? Black feminists who only want to impress the white feminists so they can all get themselves either some sort of white corporate job or some sort of governmental consulting gig. They spout that gibberish because they want to show that they're able to lead black folks around by the nose. We talk about reparations and punishing the police. Tiffany CrossEyes is talking about abortion and transgender studies in school. And she thinks that's supposed to be what pushes our buttons. But what about abortion? Then she's got the nerve to ask why black people don't think the way that she thinks we should. Why, as she sees it, she's on TV, she's got a show, not that anybody watches it. As she sees it, we should be impressed enough to let her dictate our opinions to us. Keep in mind, these clowns don't have an independent thought in their empty heads. They just regurgitate whatever their white corporate bosses tell them to say, and clearly they want to know why black people aren't getting behind Karne Bass. They saw what happened with Kamala Harris, how black people actually examined her record before deciding to automatically get behind her presidential campaign, and they don't want that to become habit-forming at the state or local levels. Tiffany CrossEyes just don't get it, and she never will. So all she can do is resort to the same old tired shaming tactics, because that's worked so well up until now, right? And for her to say that black loyalty to the DNC is a myth, actually, not so much. It's people like Tiffany CrossEyes, Roly-Poly, and Jason the Jerk Johnson who are the reason why that myth persists. These shameless butt-kissing bootlicks who cheerlead for the Democrats every chance they get, tangibles and concrete political pledges be damned. And my eyes rolled up into my head hearing Tiffany CrossEyes of all people saying that black people are loyal to black people. Yes, we are. And if she knows that, then she already understands completely why Karne Bass doesn't have black folks tripping over themselves to support her. And CrossEyes talking about the police union opposes Karne Bass. That's just throwing everything against a wall to see if anything sticks. As if she thinks we're supposed to hear, "Oh, the local thug patrol hates Karne Bass. We better break our necks to support her. We'll worry about our tangibles some other time. Oh, and we'll take a rain check on the fact that she hasn't done squat for us either. We gots to stop the police." Apparently that's the button that CrossEyes thinks she's going to push with us. Yes, the police union supports Bass's opponent, and you know what? The police unions also supported Kamala Harris when she ran for San Francisco DA and Attorney General of California. Say, anyone remember during Kamala Harris's own damn-to-fail presidential run in 2020 how it was that Tiffany CrossEyes brought that up and said, "Oh, we can't really support her. The police unions support Kamala Harris." Remember that? Me neither. She didn't bring it up before, but now she's bringing it up with somebody else because she thinks it's going to benefit her. And this is the reason why nobody listens to CrossEyes. But because there's no cure for stupid, Roly-Poly Martin decided to share his thoughts with us. Not that he can afford to.
Voter turnout was among young people pretty low. And, you know, it did create a challenge for her. What do you think happened here?
First of all, let's be clear. L.A. ain't Atlanta. It ain't Houston. Yeah, I see black celebrities, but L.A. doesn't even have 10% black population. We're in L.A., we're talking white people, and we're talking Latinos.
First of all, about the only halfway intelligent thing that was said, amazingly, was by him, and it was only half decent because he was saying the same thing the black grassroots have been saying about black people's numbers in Los Angeles. But of course, leave it to Rolly, even when he's right, he still decides to stay within certain boundaries. Can't be getting off that plantation now, because he acts as if the low number of black people in LA has always been that way. He never connects it to the fact that Karne Bass has been in office all these years, and there used to be more black people in the Los Angeles area before she took office than afterwards. And the reason why is obvious. Roly-Poly Martin knows that if he reminds people, say, there used to be a lot more black folks in the LA area before she took office, then people are going to be looking and going, well, hell, she's been here the whole time just sitting on her hands while California, and especially the Los Angeles area, has been ethnically cleansed of black people. Same way Kamala Harris was just happy as a doggone clam, her and low-down Willie Brown in San Francisco, as Nancy Pelosi and all her racist pals presided over the wholesale ethnic cleansing of the San Francisco area of black people as well. All of these doggone Democrats who keep telling us how much they're going to be doing for black people, we tell them the most basic thing of all, make sure that black people remain in the areas in which we've lived, and they tell us, we'll get back to you, don't forget to vote for us in November. Half of the black people in Los Angeles have been targeted by violent Latino gangs, and the other half have not been able to climb the economic ladder, and all of them have been crushed by the skyrocketing cost of housing and or renting for those who can actually find a place. A black person literally cannot afford to live in Los Angeles anymore. What has Karne Bass done to address that? About the same as Mayor London Breed in San Francisco. She'll say how concerned she is, give some clearly insincere, sympathetic rhetoric, and that will be it. Karne Bass hasn't thought about anyone except Karne Bass. She stood up for illegal aliens, but she didn't go to the mat for black folks at all. Far as she's concerned, lip service is all the service that black voters deserve. She simply wants to climb the next rung of the political ladder, and that means making herself as unthreatening to non-black voters as possible. She thinks she's going to replicate what Kamala Harris did. It's obvious that there's a huge political vacuum in the Democratic ranks, especially up at the executive levels. There's plenty of Democrats who have presidential aspirations, but there's nobody who even the white media can point to and say, these are the people who have real presidential timber. These are people who have real presidential potential. It's all a bunch of graybeards, all a bunch of lifers, all a bunch of people in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. If the Democrats had any real political contenders, people with some real ideas who wanted to do things for people and not just some lifelong political prostitutes whoring themselves to the highest bidder, why, the field is wide open. And if Jim Crow's decrepit and senile behind can become president, well, I guess Karne Bass thinks all she needs to do is ingratiate herself with California's political machine, and why, they'll put her in the big leagues in D.C. before too long. That's all this is. If she becomes mayor, next she'll try to become governor or senator, if she thinks she can swing it. Karne Bass doesn't give anyone a reason to vote for her. I guess that's the reason why Tiffany CrossEyes isn't listing reasons to vote for her. She's just pathetically trying to give reasons not to vote for her opponent. So as long as Karne Bass is only thinking about her own personal political fortunes, why shouldn't Snoop Dogg, or any other black person for that matter, simply vote in what's in their own personal economic interest? Most black folks are not in the same tax bracket as Snoop Dogg, but then again, since there's no black agenda on the ballot, why not vote your wallet? Why not vote your tax bracket? It's not like there's anything else on the ballot. It's not the job of black voters to be loyal to a politician or political party or to talk themselves into voting for someone. It is the job of that candidate to make the case why they deserve our vote. See, this is what happens when people get entitled. They look at black folks as if the only reason we exist is to support them. Then they start talking crazy like Tiffany CrossEyes, talking out both sides of her neck in one breath, talking about how you shouldn't be supporting any Republican candidate, and the next breath saying, well, we're not supposed to be loyal to the Democrats either, while not even trying to give a reason to vote for Karne Bass. And she doesn't see how she ties her little forked tongue in knots. These bootlicks are such obvious suck-ups. Clearly, they're an auxiliary of the DNC. The problem for them is Black America is not. When I was suffering through CrossEyes' ignorant whining about black men's voting patterns, it was painfully clear she had no new material, which means her white handlers have no new material. For a moment, I was half expecting her to break out the "Get Your Booty to the Polls" commercials again. Well, we didn't have to wait too long for that. Keep in mind, the crap Tiffany CrossEyes does is supposed to be what passes for MSNBC's content geared toward black people. This is what she, or at the very least her white employers, think that black people care about, or at least what they want us to care about. To hell with reparations, I want to know when the strippers are going to unionize. And they actually wonder why nobody listens to them. And in case someone was hoping that this segment, which is more like a piece of you-know-what, would have some sort of vaguely newsworthy value, no chance of that. I didn't even make it through the whole thing, but you can suffer through it if you want. 3 minutes was all I could take. Their big gripe was that sex work is work, shouldn't be criminalized, and that strippers pay taxes too. So the point of this video, which seemed to last forever, is that basically the hoes want money, that is. It would be funny if it wasn't so damned insulting. Why in the heck is this on a show that pretends to be about politics? Poor Tiffany, just like Joke Reed, her ratings are swirling the toilet bowl. She can practically count the seconds until she gets her pink slip and is reduced to doing fill-in segments on Al Jazeera like Mark Lamont's shill. And you know what the sad, predictable part is? The video MSNBC posted with Tiffany CrossEyes whining about Karne Bass's lack of black support was only 5 minutes and 42 seconds. Less if you don't include the MSNBC outro, you know, the part that says this is who we are, this is what we do. So in reality, that video was only 5 minutes and 17 seconds. On the other hand, CrossEyes devoted 8 minutes total to the strippers demanding more money, not including the outro, of course. So CrossEyes has 8+ minutes for strippers with problems, but only 5 minutes and some change, not even to discuss black people's interests, but to lecture and harangue black people for not single-handedly helping a politician who's done absolutely nothing to help black people in Los Angeles. So, what's CrossEyes' real priority? Her phony, pathetic brand of black feminism, that's what. CrossEyes had more understanding for strippers, 2 of them white, than she did for black people, especially black men. She wasn't lecturing or condescending to the strippers. She didn't try to argue the other side, or question their motives, or how they make women look. She made it clear where she stood. CrossEyes knows what her white bosses at MSNBC want to see from her, but what they won't be seeing is higher ratings or a host who anyone cares what she has to say. The Democrats did nothing to support Black Los Angeles, and now Black Los Angeles, what's left of it, is doing nothing to support the Democrats. The lesson to be taken away from all this that clearly flew right over Tiffany CrossEyes' empty head is that without black people, the Republicans will easily wind up running the entire government. And the only thing bootlicks like Cross and friends will be running is their mouths. Good day, and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors: Keith Weston, Jason Frazier, Prince Ali Ahmed, DeMarcus, and Samora Morris. Salute to them, and thank you to everyone for listening, liking, and sharing this message. Black empowerment only exists because of you.